I just got back from IT Nation Grow in Houston. What a wonderful event. It's early February 2025. I got to speak to 10 great guests at this IT Nation Grow as part of Evolve, which are the peer groups, which I was a member of for, oh my goodness, close to 20 years. I was a facilitator for a while in the managed service provider industry. But I was invited to go there. Grow is a particular event in the middle of the Evolve meetings and on the Wednesday, where it talks to MSPs about looking to when they're going to make their exit, if they're going to merge, get acquired, or acquire others. It's quarterly event, but I had 10 great conversations. It started with Cass Lawrence from Blumera. Great conversation with Cass, Brian Hoppy, Kevin Hogsmoser, who I've spoken to before, John Cooper, TJ, Terrell, TJ Jackson was a great conversation with TJ. Tom Hermstead, great conversation. First time I spoke to Tom. Hardin Byers, my goodness, I've known Hardin for 15 years. I haven't seen him. He was back. They're putting the band back together. I had a great conversation with Hardin. Nick Recker, MSP, Blue Alliance. Never spoken to Nick before. Great conversation. Sean Brown, my friend for many, many years. He's got an exciting new consulting firm along with his MSP that keeps growing. And Dr. Larry Little. I had the great pleasure of knowing Larry for 15 years. Haven't seen him for, my goodness, 5-6 years. And we caught up and we caught everything on camera. It was a great conversation. So I want to thank all those guests. I want to thank Arlen Sorensen for inviting me, Matthew Lavender, Scott Scroggin, and all of ConnectWise. Just a wonderful event. One of the breakouts at the Grow event. Had my two very good friends, Brian O'Shaughnessy and Rob Bruce, talking to the group via Teams, via virtual, about their merger, which is a great event. Proud and glad to be part of it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. What's a deputy at large?
Deputy at large. So I am a part of the North Texas ISSA, which is one of the largest cybersecurity associations in the United States. Deputy at large is pretty much saying that I will volunteer my time to support any other board member. So while I am a board member, I'm a deputy at large. So I kind of fill in wherever you need. But most importantly, I am deputy director over CyberWide, which is a special interest group under North Texas ISSA, where we like to very much influence others to transition into IT or cybersecurity. We are still very big on diversity and inclusion. So regardless of what's going on in politics, I will say we are an organization that utilizes the platform in the correct way.
Good for you. Do you want to connect with business leaders and engage consumers who take action? The Joey Pinz podcast delivers high-impact conversations to an audience of decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals across multiple industries. A fast-growing audience of highly engaged listeners, both B2B and B2C. Millions of listens and views across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Brands that sponsor us see real engagement, conversations, and brand loyalty. Whether you're looking to sell a service, promote a product, or establish thought leadership, our sponsorships offer premium ad placements, exclusive episode sponsorships, full season branding, and event partnerships. Don't just advertise, become part of the conversation. Visit us at joeypins.com/sponsor to get started, or email us at sales@joeypins.com. Joey Pinz Podcast, where thought leaders, brands connect. Give me an example of where you may be called in.
With regard to
An emergency where your role is deputy, where you have to go and help.
yeah, so it might be a situation where they want someone specific within, I don't know, governance, risk, and compliance. Right. It may be a situation where we may need someone to create an event for the 3 pillars of cybersecurity: people, processes, and technology. Right. So I get called to either volunteer or find the people to complete that.
And how did you get involved with this? It's
I
pretty
was
cool.
actually nominated by, it was 5 years ago. I was nominated by a current board member, and she just loved my thrill for people.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of how I got into staffing as well. I have a passion for people. And so, God has allowed me to pursue that passion, and I plan on being purposeful with that.
And when did you first realize this mission?
Maybe 15 years ago. Man, no, yeah, I'd say 17 years. It was a
What happened?
situation. It was a situation where, I was just merely working as a recruiter, throwing a resume on the walls to see if it sticks. And I come to find that I got someone hired, and they were so thankful, and I didn't know how to receive that. So I prayed on it, and then I found myself being thankful to God.
Wow.
It was self-gratifying. It was gratifying to see someone that's in transition of a job or may not have a job to ultimately get a job. And then be enhanced personally and professionally. So it's definitely a God-given purpose.
TJ, where does spirituality play a role in your life?
Oh, spirituality is the forefront.
Is it?
It is. It is. Like I said, God has given me permission to pursue, and I want to do what I'm blessed to do. I think He gave me this platform to do this. And so I humbly wake up every day achieving the day of making someone's life a whole lot better.
Wow. And when did you realize this? That He gave you this gift?
I would say
As a child?
no, maybe.
Yeah.
I was always, my father used to always tell me, quit trying to be the life of the party, right? Not particularly at a party, but quit trying to have all the attention, right? And it wasn't me trying to get attention. It was me fulfilling my passion, right? So that's a great question. I don't know. I would probably have to say middle school, high school.
And when you so you had this mission, this inner drive. When did you connect it to God, the spirituality? Did you always, you were just kind of born with it and I have this?
I connected it to God when the more thank yous I got, the more I was grateful. Appreciation to the fullest. And what kind of pushed me over the ledge was, my wife. God gave me permission to pursue, but she gave me the passion. And so with the two of those, God is always the center of my life and whatever I do. And oddly enough, a lot of my MSP customers, not by any kind of design, but most of them are faith-based organizations.
Interesting.
And so I wanted to, that gave me an avenue to be around not only like-minded individuals, but to contribute back to the community, you know. And I'm so enthralled and excited about the MSP landscape. It's not even about, I don't look at this finding the right people and to put in the right seats. It's a hard job.
Yes.
But I don't wake up thinking it's hard. I wake up thinking, what kind of journey am I going to enjoy today? You know, so I hope we're not getting into too spiritual here.
And is it difficult to work with a group that's not particularly spiritual?
No, not at all, because not all of my clients are like that. But I also notice that there's a need, those that may not be spiritual, you know, there's an alignment where I need to be with my relationship with God, with what I am offering, right? So there has to be an alignment, right? So I'm not necessarily saying you have to be a faith-based MSP,
Right.
but we're going to have to align on those, maybe your core values, an MSP core values, versus and associate that with mine. There's a lot of companies out there, a lot of MSPs. Core values wasn't aligned or even discovered. And as an MSP owner, if your core values aren't designed for you to succeed, to grow, to fulfill what you're doing in your community to your customers, then what are you doing? So I try to find that alignment and impede myself on it. Like, I want to impede on the culture. I want to be able to say, hey, you know what? Your level 3 engineer guy is about to quit. I don't want him to. And this is what I'm going to do to help save what you have going on, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual for them, but it will for me. It will for me.
So we're here in the great state of Texas. We're in Houston. It's IT Nation Evolve and Grow. It's the first week of February. What are some of your goals here, TJ?
My goals are to really learn about M&A. I want to help MSPs identify what that looks like and how to position themselves to that transition. And the reason why I say that is because I work with an MSP, one in particular in Dallas. That's where I'm located. And I grew this company exclusively from 23 employees to 62.
Wow.
Over 4 years. They started at 4 million. They got acquired last November for 14 million. And I can't tell you what a journey that was. Right? So I want to identify those MSPs who are wanting to put themselves in position, obviously with good intentions, right? I don't want to help anyone just to help them. I want to help them with that purpose in mind. So I always want to stay purposeful, which is why I'm here today.
Yes, yeah. So when an MSP is looking for this kind of help, what questions should they be asking?
When an MSP is looking for my help,
Yeah.
you know, maybe what drives what you do, right? What are your other MSP customers saying about you? What are candidates that you deal with saying about you, right? I like to focus on mature modeled MSPs, and those that, again, have a great culture. Hence the name of my business, Culture Fits.
Culture
In fact,
Fits.
one of my MSP clients gave me that name. So I actually just rebranded, but it resonated with me so well because he's like, TJ, you're so into our culture. Like, you've actually helped us get back on track. Why don't you call it Culture Fits? And so hence the name of my company. And I want to make for sure that not only am I a candidate advocate, but those candidates that I'm bringing in should seamlessly integrate with the strategy of the organization.
There was a presentation earlier with Brian and with Rob. They're on the video.
Right.
I'm good friends with them 15 years. And, they merged their two companies and they didn't count on the culture at all. And I have some insight there, and it's something that they regret. They should have focused on. I mean, if you don't create, Arlen says, if you don't create the culture, it'll create you. You have it whether you know it or not.
Absolutely.
So how do you help MSPs develop a great culture?
Well, I think it comes down to what the CEO, what his core values are. And then, I don't want to sound like I'm an EOS integrator or implementer, right? But I mean, you have to uncover what it is that your core values are. You have to uncover what your employees consider core values, right? Are there people aligned? Are there things that we should rediscuss when it comes to core values? But it has to be founded on core values. So I also understand that if you have two MSPs that, two entities that ultimately, acquired to one, culture is going to change. But you also got to be able to adjust to that change and enforce it, not in a bad way, right? But
Promote.
promote the expectation of change, right? I think someone earlier was saying here in IT Nation, they were like, if you're comfortable doing your job, then you're not doing your job, right? The discomfort is where you grow. That's something I learned today at IT Nation Grow.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I'm okay doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, you constantly strive to be uncomfortable. Yeah, because comfort promotes complacency.
Yeah.
And almost arrogance at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to kind of be able to pivot there. So when I talk to MSPs, I'm a former MSP, and three things keep them up at night, TJ. One, security. They're worried about their clients getting attacked. They're about that call from their technician. They're worried about that. Two, I call human capital. How are they going to replace these great technicians or engineers if they leave as they grow? How are they going to get new ones? And then third is growth. A lot of them are tech-led. They don't know how to do organic sales. M&A has turned the industry all upside down. They're worried about bottom line multipliers so they can get that payout like the one client you mentioned. So these three things keep them up at night. How can you help with those?
Well, with regard to talent, I would say that I love seeing MSPs that offer milestones in their employees' careers, right? And what I mean by milestones, allow them the opportunity to grow where they plan to grow. It might not you might not have a service desk level 3 guy there for 4 years. He might leave because he got offered a tier 2, project engineer role somewhere else. And uncovering these things and knowing not only how to influence, not only knowing how to manage, but understand how they can influence and manage others, right? So, I love uncovering that. And I actually do some, through my staffing resources, I do provide personality assessments to see if you're finding that like-minded individual, right? But it's about listening to the people too, right? I mean, if they're feeling like they're just coming to work and there's nothing exciting for the day, then, what are they doing, right? But if they want to come in, right, they want to get to work, they want to go check the ticket queue, then those are the people you need to encourage and create milestones to grow. I hope I'm answering. I know that was a long way.
That's a great answer. So, because oftentimes CEOs almost take, you're there they just take advantage. I don't say take advantage, but they just kind of overlook. They're not appreciative completely of what the employees are doing, and that goes to culture.
Yeah.
So to find somebody who can actually replace talent and help with talent and promote the culture is an incredible combination.
Yeah.
Rare, I would think, because a lot of staffing firms
think?
that I know, they're just replacing bodies.
Yeah.
They're a head hunter. right?
No.
It's a terrible term.
I don't like that
Yeah, of
term.
course you don't, because it's an insult. But when you're also helping with the culture, I mean, it seems to be necessary.
It is, especially for small businesses. I mean, they're already running lean, right? And you can't afford to lose that one guy.
You
Right?
can't.
You can't. You just can't. It's going to cost you more to replace him, with or without me, my assistance, I would say, right? I mean, you got to train them up, hope they last throughout their probationary period, and then do your best to make them happy so they could stay, right? But if you already, if you've come in with that notion of saying, hey, we like to promote from within, hey, we give incentives for people who put in the extra effort, then why would they want to leave? And that's what I pride myself on, helping MSPs develop and retain high-performing teams.
Your brand deserves to be in front of the right audience decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ready to take action. That's exactly who listens to the Joey Pinz podcast. Thousands of engaged business leaders and consumers tune in every week. Millions of views and listens across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Sponsors see real impact, higher engagement, brand trust, and conversations. We offer strategic partnerships tailored to your goals, including targeted ad placements, branded guest appearances, multi-episode and event sponsorships. Make your brand part of the conversation. Let's grow together. Visit joeypins.com/sponsor to explore sponsorship opportunities, or email us at sales@joeypins.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where brands and thought leaders connect. And of course, it's too late when they quit. They should have something there. You should have just in sales. I had one MSP contact me during the holidays. We just lost our biggest client. I said, well, I've been talking to you for 9 months about developing a sales engine, creating a pipeline. It's the same thing with employees, right? I mean, you should be proactive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy to say.
And yeah, it is easier to say. But, I think just with the everyday responsibilities in life, you kind of overlook that.
Yeah.
Right? But how great would it be out of the blue if, let's say you had your own your MSP before selling. How great is it to make someone feel great and saying, hey, great job today. I saw you close out 12 tickets today.
Yeah.
Great job, man.
Right.
I really appreciate you. And employees don't get those accolades as they could or should, I would say.
Yeah, appreciation goes a long way.
Yeah.
TJ, has there been anything in the last month or so that you changed your mind on?
Yeah. I changed my mind. It's been more than a month, but I could say this. I changed my mind into thinking that it's no more about me. Yeah, it's not about me.
Explain.
I feel, it feels good to be successful. It feels good to get a new client. It feels good to show your worth, right? But I don't want to make it about me or the success. I want to make it about the journey, right? That's the most thrilling part is the journey. It's not about putting a butt in a seat. It's not about acquiring a new customer. It's about seeing someone have a pain point and support them thoroughly along the way. And it doesn't have to be just with staffing for your MSP. I'll give you an example. One of my particular MSP clients in Dallas, by far my favorite, they utilize me exclusively. And I actually had a private equity firm reach out to me and saying, TJ, you work with a lot of MSPs. We don't really like the one we're working with. Who could we talk to? I could have given him some options, but I went with this one particular MSP who supported me, so I wanted to support him. He actually inked the deal and brought a new private equity firm to support. So, I all this to say, again, it's not about me. It's about what we're doing for our community, right? Whether it's nationally, whether you're managing or co-managing their environment, it's about doing for the greater good, right? I think we need more of that.
Yeah, we certainly do. Yeah. So when you say you changed your mind on it, before it was more about kind of scoring.
It was just, man, I want to be the new staffing firm
Right.
that's specific to MSPs and MSSPs.
And
I'm
dominate.
going to dominate
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I don't need to.
Right.
I don't have to, because it's not about me.
Very interesting.
You know.
What brought you to this?
That's a great question. You know, spending time to really reevaluate what I'm doing in the new year. Right. So then I start asking myself, why? Why are you doing this? You know, why aren't you doing this? Right? Why are you doing something you don't want to do? Because I think that's where I'll do things that I don't want to do in order to get where I want to be. And that's just a personal journey, right? It doesn't have anything to do with anything else.
What is it about MSPs, TJ, that you like working with?
I love how they support their customers. I've worked in plenty environments, but I've never seen quality service to their customers. And, you know, a lot of my MSP customers are in the SMB space, not so global or enterprise, right? And I love to see their perspective on things, right? I love to hear the fact, you know, they don't let their customers dictate what they do. Right? They stand for something, right? I love that. I love that.
That is true.
It's a quality issue.
It is a quality, yeah.
You know, and I have noticed MSPs. I could say there's a list of MSPs I would absolutely love to work with. There's a longer list of MSPs I just avoid.
Interesting. Why?
For one reason or another, you know, I kind of keep my ear to the ground as much as I can while I'm in recruiting, right? So that's kind of the first question I ask, like, why are you looking to leave? Oh, well, they got acquired and the culture died. Or, you know, my manager doesn't really listen to me. You know, or my teammates, they leave me out of everything. They act like they can do everything. You know, so the environments that are less collaborative, you know, less engaging, and don't really show appreciation to their employees, it gets evident. It gets evident.
I see. And it's a tough conversation if you have to go to the boss and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Can we talk about some culture shifts?
Yeah.
That's a tough conversation.
Yeah. But it's even tougher if you're getting a culture survey from your employees,
right,
and it's still not favorable. At that point, you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do about it?
What's happening? Yeah.
Right? So, you know.
I know when we briefly talked earlier, I mentioned I started my MSP in the 90s, was working 14 hours, 16 hours. You're no stranger to this, I'm sure, and not paying attention to myself. And I'm in front of the doctor, and she tells me, you know, I'm 340 pounds. You know, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. You know, scared me. I'm driving home, you know, punching the steering wheel. What have I done to myself? This is all me. Spent the next 6-7 months, lost 130 pounds, kept it off. You know,
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, you can't look at it as a finishing line, right? I mean, these are so many people gain it back, you know, and it's really similar to what we do in business. You know, I've got the goal, now I can kind of go back to where I was. You got to keep those. They're lifelong changes. So people ask me how, you know, what's your secret? And there's no secret, TJ. Discipline. That's how I did it. I had a routine and motivation.
Yeah.
How does discipline play a role in your life?
It definitely plays a big part of my life, especially when, you know, I have other people that wake up to, you know, to work alongside of me, right? I don't look at people that work for me as employees. They're partners of mine, you know, in whatever capacity that may be, right? And to know that they're excited for the day, you know, that keeps me disciplined because I want to make my employees happy. You know, I don't want them to have to leave. You know, it's great to hear from, you know, one of my employees saying, you know what, my old company called me back, but I don't want to leave you, TJ. You know, so I have to be disciplined. Every day is a calculated step.
Really, you look at it as a necessity, discipline.
Yeah, it has to. Maybe that was part of my upbringing too. You know, I've never had to physically transition into. By the way, great job.
Yeah.
You know, that took a lot, and your health is your wealth when it comes down to it, right? But you know, I grew up military. You know, I am a product of the Vietnam War, actually. My father, I'm half Thai. My father was deployed in Vietnam a couple times during the Vietnam War. They had me. You know, I was born on Lackland Air Force Base.
Wow.
And long story short, I got accepted into the Air Force Academy and just decided that wasn't for me.
Wow.
Do I regret it? At times, but hey, I'm glad I did what I did because I wouldn't be here where I am. So I grew up having a lot of discipline. I think it's required, you know.
And we started the conversation with your spiritual side. Does spirituality require a certain amount of discipline?
Yeah, I believe so.
How
Absolutely.
so?
Because if you're not keeping yourself and your soul grounded, if you're not keeping yourself and your soul grounded, then what are you doing? Right? I mean, we're not all perfect. I know we're not, right? And we don't plan on being, right?
Far from.
But if we stay grounded, you got to stay disciplined in your faith, right? Faith being the evidence of things not seen. Substance of things you hope for, right? The only way you're going to do that is stay disciplined. Yeah.
You said something earlier that many people say that is a definition of discipline. You say, I do the things I don't want to do so I can do the things I want to do. And that really can be a definition of discipline, doing things you have to do even though you don't like it.
Yeah. 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 It comes to a point where it's also helping me identify with myself, right? What TJ loves to do versus what he hates to do. What does TJ love to do that he wants to do? And what does TJ just is not good at but wants to be, right? So all those different disciplines, I mean, you have to, I think it redefines who you are. As you grow older and mature in business as an entrepreneur, you know, I've noticed perceptions are seeming to be a little bit different now, right? So I hope that answers your question.
What motivates you, TJ?
What motivates me? My family. My family. My family. I wouldn't be here, you know, if it wasn't for them. You know, my wife told me one time, you know, I kept talking about it for so long, like, I want to start my own business. I want to quit and just focus on the business. And, you know, I'd been talking about it for like 2-3 years. And she said, well, just quit. And she said, I'll support you, you know, and hearing that right there, she's supporting me.
That's wonderful.
I want her to depend on me, right? And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I listened to her because I quit that next hour.
Did you really?
Yes.
One of the best things you ever done?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd never go back. You know, and when there's times that, and everyone struggles with sales and marketing, right? I'm sure it wasn't too good. 2024 wasn't too good to a lot of people. Hopefully 2025 is looking hopeful.
Optimistic.
But, you know, when it's all said and done, you know, gotta bring the bacon home.
So the motivation being family, how do you measure success?
Success is seeing my wife wake up and being happy. Success is knowing that my employees love to support my cause and what I'm doing for the MSP community. Success is when I get the thank yous, right? At that point, I don't worry about the revenue. Of course, I pay attention to it, but I don't worry about the revenue at that point. Success, a big driver of success for me is, I mean, you kind of brought it up, right? It's just discipline. Having that daily routine of knowing what I got to do, that to me is successful. Having those conversations with candidates and getting them interviews, right? That's success to me. Having those conversations with MSP owners and then helping them with with their operations, that's success. Doesn't necessarily have to be EBITDA. At least not now. Not for me. Not now.
Well, I thank you for your time today. Great pleasure getting to know you.
Absolutely.
Anybody listening or watching, how can they get in touch with you?
I can be reached at culture-fits.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. I go by Terrell Jackson. You could probably put in TJ Culture Fits and find me. I'm always open for new clients and also speaking to candidates that are in transition to a new opportunity. But thank you for having me, Joey.
Culture-fits.com, and of course, Terrell Jackson
Yes, sir.
at LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
man.
Great pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Looking for a powerful way to reach business leaders and engage consumers? The Joey Pinz podcast connects brands like yours with an audience that listens, engages, and takes action. High impact exposure with a fast growing loyal audience. Millions of views and listens across major platforms. Sponsors see increased brand awareness, trust, and conversations. We make sponsorships simple and effective with custom ad placements that fit your brand, deep audience engagement through authentic conversations, long-term exposure across podcast platforms and social media. Don't miss the opportunity to connect with your ideal customers. Visit joeypins.com/sponsor to secure your sponsorship today. Or you can email us at sales@joeypins.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where conversations drive results. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.